movie Deux. Well, Todd Phillips definitely made the movie he wanted to make. What that was will probably be discussed for quite some time because he really does kind of, let's say, de-evolve the trajectory that we were headed on in the first Joker, at least in our eyes.
Right. And I can understand them coming back and saying, well, it's like a social commentary on things that are happening. And I get it too. But at the same time, it's like, you've got a character like the Joker that comes with history. And with that history, unfortunately, if it kind of sways a little bit in a different direction than what maybe you were expecting, that it doesn't really hold true, or like it kind of falls flat a little bit. And I think that does what happens in this movie, especially when you're getting towards the end of the movie. And, as we were watching this movie, I was like, okay, let me see what's going on. Let's see how, bringing in Lady Gaga as Harley or Lee into the story, to see how she fits in here. And I will have to say that she is kind of underutilized when it comes to like the actual story itself. I feel like the only way that she really shines is just those moments when they do have the singing and stuff. Like they play to her singing strengths and like musical strengths.
And I did enjoy the two of them more so when they were together. That's when a little bit of life was, breathed into Arthur. And that's partly one of the issues I have with this movie, is that Arthur was on a very meteoric rise when it comes to his infamy. And sure, there is still that fame that exists, but Arthur himself, it de-evolves all the way back to where Arthur was in that first movie and has no, will to be the Joker anymore. But this movie decides it wants to take that mantle, that moniker, that identity of the Joker and make it something a little bit different. They give this to you within the first few minutes of the movie starting. I say movie because technically the movie doesn't start right away once it begins. So they're kind of filling you in already with what you can expect with what this story is kind of about.
Yeah.
And in the end, it just makes me so sad for Arthur as a character. And it very much kind of takes the Joker, at least how we have seen him, and kind of just throws it out the window, but more so just de-evolves it to something that wasn't executed very well in the end.
Yeah, it does feel like there is like a point where you're kind of going along on this ride and then all of a sudden it stops. They stop short and you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Like it doesn't I feel like it doesn't gradually get there. It just kind of like happens. And you're just like, okay, well then what happened with all of this rest of the stuff that we were, on this ride with? And now it kind of just fell apart. It fell apart.
I mean, that's the movie in a nutshell. At some point in the movie, we're going like this, and then it's like the head tilt, like, wait, what? So, I don't know. Todd Phillips made the movie that he wanted to make, and Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga did great with their roles, just in terms of giving us, the broken, psychotic, love-struck couple. But again, underutilized. I feel like everybody in this movie was underutilized. But when it comes to the rest of the story, it just feels like it does go nowhere. And if you're watching this review, you may have already seen the movie and you're going to have your own opinions on it. And yes, there is a lot to love about this movie in terms of the cinematography, in terms of the set dressings, in terms of some of the music. I feel like I could say maybe 4 of the songs were great and well done, and I loved it. For instance, when him and her first have their musical kind of romp together, I thought it was great. But from the trailers, there were scenes of pageantry and Broadway-level musicals, and even those were very small and few. And when they did show up, they were really just interludes between scenes. So it did not take, that maniacal turn that I thought it would. Again, that's expectations.
Right.
But at the same time, when they did end up happening, it's like, all right, well, is this an intermission? Can I go up and get it? Like, what's happening? So you just kind of like put everything on hold until you're through it, and then the story continues.
So because of like the courtroom drama part of it, but also having like that musical moments in it too, it does bring me back to how Chicago did it, and I feel like it ramps up better in Chicago than they tried to do it here in the Joker. And I get that wasn't really probably Todd's focus, but he just wanted to add those elements into the story just to kind of like, hey, we're going to do something different. And that's what it felt like. It felt like, well, I just want to add these because it's going to be something different to the story. And there are just points where you're just like, okay, like why do you want to do that? It also feels like there are moments with Joker and Harley together that are missing, that I feel like it takes a turn somewhere with their relationship that it just doesn't match up very well, and it's weird, like there's some scenes missing.
Even in the IMAX poster and the trailer, there is a scene where they are walking down the stairs together, and it looks like it's more of one of those like, hallucinations, the musical scenes. That's not in the movie, anywhere in the movie. The scene on the poster, the IMAX poster that was out front when we watched it during the Monday fan event, that wasn't in the movie. So I'm curious to see, what happened there, but I don't think it would have salvaged this movie.
Yeah, I'm curious to see why those certain scenes were taken out, or like maybe Todd just felt like maybe they just weren't like supporting the story that he wanted to tell, so he just nicked those scenes. And then another thing too, when it came to the movie, is that I would have loved if they intertwined more of those musical themes that we got from the first movie. The score was great from the first movie. I really enjoyed the atmospheric tone that was going on with it, of that, dreaded Gotham feel. And this one, while it does have some great musical moments, I wish they woven in more of those the score in there.
What I love the most about the first Joker is the ending. The whole scene when he's out in front of everybody and Arthur finally finds that confidence and he takes the fingers and wipes the blood on his smile, and then he goes to Arkham. Like, all of that was peak Joker. He reached maximum effort with his Joker. And this whole movie just completely just decides not to take up that momentum. And when we see Arthur, he's back to being broken Arthur. And eventually we get dashes of the Joker, but in reality, it's nowhere near where it should have been towards, if we're looking at the ending of the first Joker. So with that, though, they do take on a whole different spin on the story. That's the part that's really hard to talk about. I can only compare it to one thing, and that's Halloween Ends. So they kind of shift the focus away from the actual character of Arthur as the Joker himself and
everybody else around him.
Yeah, and it just kind of becomes more so about the idea of the Joker, which I know back then a lot of people were talking about. There was conversations about the mantle of the Joker and how it kind of like is bigger than Arthur. And I feel like this movie wanted to do that, but it's very sloppily executed. There isn't a whole lot to go on. And so when things do start popping off in the final act of the movie, it pales in comparison compared to that very first Joker film. Because to me, that one crescendoed beautifully in the final act of the first Joker.
The final act of the first Joker.
This one,
good.
It completely falls apart in the final act of this movie, and just makes me feel bad for Arthur as a character.
I'm curious to see if those that did not like the first movie, if they're going to go into this movie maybe with a different mindset and then end up coming out of it liking it like that. I'm curious to see I would want to see a graph on if it happens. Or, you're going to get people who are like, well, I didn't really care for the first one and I'm not even going to go see the second one. Or, I feel like there's going to be moments where this is like a niche thing that people will enjoy and they're like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I love this movie.
Yeah. There's
So.
going to be people that absolutely adore this movie. I guarantee you. And that's fine. You can absolutely. I love that this definitely goes a completely different way with it. It
Yes.
just takes its own. Like Todd Phillips took his own take and ran with it.
And that's what you need to do. Like, sometimes
Sure.
you gotta, shoot for the stars, and then you can miss or you hit, and that's okay. But as long as you took those risks and you you do them.
There is a scene. I see. It's so hard to talk about because we don't want to talk about spoilers. But there's a scene, and it was in the trailer with Arthur, and he's running through the streets with a Joker behind him and a clown behind him with a mask. Like the symbolism of what is going on in that entire scene, I thought was very beautifully done. But it all leads nowhere, in my opinion. So for me, I was like really starting to get into it. I'm like, oh, this is kind of a different take. I could see the symbolism for the theme that we're running through this movie. But then it just kind of, it's pointless. It's just pointless for me, at least. But, and it's funny because you see our videos and we find a lot of good and we find a lot of bad in these movies. But very seldomly do we watch a movie of this caliber where it's just one that I just don't feel the need to watch again. I'd watch the first Joker again, no problem. But this one, it's just it's messy and it's kind of boring in terms of like we're at Arkham, we're in the courthouse, there's a van in between. There's Arkham, there's a van in between. Like that's pretty much the whole movie. Back and forth, and
sometimes it's nothing wrong with having like a smaller, moment, but
go somewhere. And again, when we were there, like Arkham was dirty, it was brutal, but at the same time, it was a lot of the same stuff that we kind of saw over and over again. And a lot of it just felt like we were kind of retracing the first movie again. Todd Phillips has done that before, Hangover 2 versus Hangover 1. But still, this one didn't really like have an A, a B, all the way to a Z. It just felt like there were some things that we just kind of skipped over and we weren't going to pursue anymore in terms of a character arc for Arthur. And I know there's a lot of people that were upset after that first Joker because of glorifying the aggression that came from Arthur in his insanity, and instead played up into
I think
a hero of the
and I think the way that this movie Todd tries to course correct a little bit, I guess.
Maybe, I guess, I don't know. It just feels like we could have gone to like a logical next step for a Batman villain like the Joker, and instead they just kind of, like you said, putter out and flatline at the end. It doesn't really do much for us. For us, though, for us,
just
it did not do much.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll be watching this movie again. Probably,
Maybe
once someone comes up with a dissertation about it and not, something that would make me go back and reflect on it again a few years from now.
Maybe.
But at the moment, I don't know. There was some cool song choices, but I'm not going to recreationally listen to any of the songs because they're very crooner, lounge, slow music from the past, which is great music, but it didn't feel like it was in place. And I don't know, they could have had a little bit more fun with it. Because even though it was pretty dark, there was some fun moments in just getting to see the Joker kind of breathe and live on his own without Batman bashing down the door. But it just feels like that's kind of the end of the road. So now we get to do it with the Penguin, which is killing it. Amazing 2 episodes in as of filming of this. And that's where I'm going to be hanging my hat now for, getting to witness a villain in Gotham.
Far.
Yeah, it's doing its good job. It's doing a good job. Just, Joker 2 did not, in my opinion, our opinion. But did you watch it? Did you watch the Joker? Joker, Folly, I do. Tell us your thoughts in the comments below. It's going to be polarizing. There's going to be people that are championing and fighting and arguing over it. And I don't know. It's not it's not good for I would say WB right now. I know they've had a couple winners like with Beetlejuice recently, but man, this could have been another one. And I think they knew that because they pushed the press screenings all the way back to as late as they could till Wednesday night. And the movie comes out Thursday. Wednesday night, they pushed those press screenings. We were able to go watch it because what WB does when they push back those press screenings,
the fans instead.
They bring the fans to the forefront. So they're the ones that are championing and getting that Rotten Tomatoes number up before it deteriorates. But I'm really, really curious.
Yeah.
What everybody else is like, what the norms, what the fans are going to have to say about this.
I'm also curious of those that did watch the first one and are not like super fans of DC or Joker or anything like that, but they do enjoy going to the movies. And, you know, the Joker is a movie that just came out, so that they're, you know, going to find a way to get to the movie. Or like the people who go to the movies on the third or fourth week.
Sure, yeah. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough because I don't like not being able to recommend movies. When people ask, what can I watch? We're like, well, it's not Joker.
Yeah, I'm so sad because I did really wanted to see, you know, this one kind of succeed because you're bringing in a different dynamic with Lady Gaga, and I wanted it to succeed.
And it got so many accolades.
At least for me.
It got so many accolades the first run, you know, and I don't know what happened here. It definitely is no Chicago, which you can watch my reaction for the first time watching Chicago. A better movie than Joker 2. That's available on our channel right now. But guys, let us know your thoughts. Please, really want to know what you thought about this movie. Let us know in the comments below. You can also like and subscribe.
And do the thing on our Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Discord.
All the social networking. Ginger and Tina, where they are. Kick into the party. Fuel the party. Keep the party going on our Patreon. Really wish we could talk about spoilers just because I feel like that would add a little bit more. But at the same time, I just kind of don't want to talk about it anymore. That's what sucks. Sucks the wind out of your sails. So
it does.
Either way, thanks so much. And as always,
now it's time to say goodbye.
This party is over.
Bye.
Bye.